welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans. Don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Brian's Crazy Ass Weekend Show. The Broiler Chicken Show. Back. I guess we already have an intro, so you don't really need a double one. I noticed, though, that when I have my, I have quite a view of the ocean here, but when I have the window open, that almost looks like half of my face is in the dark and half of it's in the light. And I'm looking at the YouTube page right now. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over here. And I'm gone. Hey, all right, we'll just do the whole video like this. Hope you're enjoying the show. Party on, Wayne. All right, anyway, let's see if that's any better. Close the blinds a little bit. Hey, now you can see my whole face. All right, and you know what? I think I want to put this light on too. So you wonder why we have so few viewers, eh? Actually, I don't even have the overhead light on in this room. But anyway, hello everybody. And I really don't expect too many people to watch this video. Who the hell wants to hear, oh, be patient, be disciplined. Sometimes the best thing to do is absolutely nothing. Nobody wants to hear that. Having said that, that's probably some sage advice. What the hell? As Jojo once said, I don't know whether the problem is now I really think I need a prescription because these like drugstore sort of try and half-ass your way through the problem. Solutions really aren't doing me any favors. But anyway, got the newsletter up and running here, and by all means, if you want to get a copy of it when it's produced here on the weekends, you can come up here and I think this is the link to sign up for the newsletter. So, if you want a copy of this, I used to put this in the library, but I noticed nobody really clicks on them. It is an extra job. Not anyway. Suppose I should try and keep on top of this. I do have a personal trading log and journal that I update every single day. I'm day trading. So I do put the links in there, but I should probably try and make a better effort to put them in the library for everybody. But if you do want to get this newsletter in your email, you can just click on this little link right here and it'll take you there. I don't know actually if this is accurate anymore. So I know personally I only do videos on the site Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. There are other people at TRI that do videos, but I don't think they're really along this vein. I think they're more sort of individualized products. Anyway, what can we talk about? Today's going to be kind of a weird day in that we can talk about general happenings in the market, but I wouldn't really say this is the kind of environment that, especially people who are interested in cryptocurrencies, that are really going to be doing a hell of a lot. If anything, what I've been suggesting to people, and I suppose we could look at the weekly charts and stuff, is I do like the idea that we are working our way higher into some sort of fall apex event here. That's sort of what the tea leaves are sort of suggesting. But I often tell people that our job's not really to predict the future. I mean, it's a good idea to sort of get a general idea, especially if you're thinking like 4-year cycles. Where are we on the cycle? Is it a time to get aggressive? Is it a time to play conservative? That kind of stuff. I think that's always a good idea. But I really don't like the idea of people saying, this is what's going to happen next, or that is what's going to happen next. Because frankly speaking, nobody can predict the future. There's a typical line that obviously people are looking for the circle jerk. She'll get rich quick. Buy whatever I'm touting. You'll make $1 bazillion. I'm not really that type of guy. And anybody who watches this channel and videos and has gotten to know me over the past 10 years, I don't really do that very often. Um, I will say, though, that I definitely think that the market is pointing higher here into the fall. Everything seems to be humming along here. Um, and if anything, what will cause the market to do what we kind of think is going to happen, um, it's going to be more outlandish, more, man, you couldn't have predicted that kind of talk, than really anything else. Um, and I often suggest to people, right? We could sit down here and we could say, okay, everybody predict what is going to happen and what the reason is of why things are going to happen. And what actually happens in reality is so much crazier of a story that we'll all sit and go, man, I could have never dreamed that that was going to happen. Or if I had suggested that was going to happen, people would have thought I was crazy. So I don't really like to get into the business of predicting the future. The future will just do what it does. And what I often suggest to people is we often see the what is likely to happen, but we never really figure out the why until it actually happens. What is the actual fundamental that drove things to play out the way that they did? So I don't know whether that helps you or not, but that's the basic mantra that I've had in my career. I like to see sort of the general direction things are going in, but I never like to corner myself into saying, I predict that will happen or this will happen. I don't think that's a good idea. I do definitely put my money where my mouth is. And I definitely do like the idea that the market probably heads into some sort of euphoric peak this fall. So if I'm thinking prices are going to peak this fall, then that means I probably should be on the buy side. Now looking for rallies, and of course the public comes in and buys the rallies, and of course that's pretty stupid of them. But here, this is a really good example of a name, and I've played this thing now, geez, past 10 years. I mean, the irony of it all is I've done this whole game literally a decade ago, and I had a lot of fun in it. And that's when I was supposed to be doing this. And yeah, when the portfolios went up absolutely insane numbers into respective fear cycle peaks. And if you're a student of mine, you'll understand what that references to. Um, I don't actually think that this is the same type of environment. And actually, interestingly enough, crypto was supposed to bottom here like the cycle 22, 23. And you actually look at this story and you go, has this thing actually bottomed yet? But the irony of it all, you come in, you buy W's, bottom ends of range, you sell halves on doubles and all that kind of talk and get yourself risk-free trades and then do the same damn thing. Take the capital at the bottom ends of range, sell halves on doubles. This was what I just did last winter. And oh, what a big surprise. Here comes Brian, bottom end of range. W started coming in, and I'm going in there and I'm starting to buy these names back. Just kind of business as usual for a guy like me. Of course, is anybody in the public even the slightest bit interested in this stuff right now? Not really. And this is just one example. And of course, in Brian's trading room on the TRI site, we used to have web pages and stuff. And if I was running this show, I would definitely have web pages up and running for you, but I can't get my business partners to cooperate with me right now. So the data was just absolutely horrifically erroneous. So I just said, take the pages down. So for the remainder of whatever time I have left here at TRI, if you want to know what I'm doing in the market, this solution we have, I guess, is we have this Brian's trading room, Julian's trading room. I don't even think Grim's even on the site anymore. Sjord is just completely backed away. He's not even really doing anything here trading wise. But here's Brian's trading room, and I've been posting some of the purchases I've been doing recently here. So I am a man of my word. I have been touting that I like crypto rallying into the fall. Maybe if we're lucky, this spills over into early. I don't know. I guess I mean the interesting thing about probably an easy way for you to understand this is actually it was funny for a while. A blog post that we did about the Benner cycle is the number one hit when it comes to Google. When you Google Benner cycle, look at that, it's still there. Anyway, this was a blog post that was put together by one of our students a few years ago. A very, very good job. Not a big surprise that it is as popular as it is. So maybe even do yourself a favor and bookmark this. But this is a pretty handy little gauge. It was developed, a couple hundred years ago. This happens to be Josh's updated version 200 years ago when Mr. Benner actually put this together. He couldn't imagine the 20th century, living in like the 1805s, 10s, 20s. But we just basically projected this out, and the cycle stays always the same. But in essence, you can see we're coming into a minor peak here in 2026. It's not one of our big orgy peaks. And the orgy peaks is where you guys all get rich in this space. And I might actually argue that my 17 and a half year generational cycles also correspond with these pivots. And the generational cycle, my fear greed cycle, it pivoted in 2018. So we had Mr. Benner's sort of like 20-year cycle. And quite often, actually, this corresponds really nicely with the Jupiter-Saturn cross events. But also, generally speaking, it corresponds with my generational pivots. This was the dot-com boom. This was the crypto boom, I think, for lack of a better term. And this will be, and who knows what the name of the actual bull market will be, but this will be sort of the millennial generation's peak earnings years cycle peak. So we're in a minor cycle peak. This isn't the kind of environment that you're going to get stinking rich. And then unfortunately, which really sucks for us, I think we have to go through what I would actually consider probably the most difficult sort of 4 or 5 year window in the entire 80-year money cycle. The banksters screwing us over, Rothschilds, all that shit. We've got that window ahead of us here for the next 4 or 5 years. Now, in fact, 2026, this is when this market should top. The Bitcoin 4-year cycles, they suggested we top near the end of 2025 here. And as I said there a second ago, if we're really lucky, this spills over into 2026. Maybe if we're lucky, we actually see this crypto cycle sort of drag on through the first half of 2026. We'll see. It's interesting how, this particular cycle pivot, 2019, of course, this was all around the sickness. But it was interesting how the stock market itself actually peaked in January of 2020. So we might find that actually the market drags itself higher all the way into sort of the first quarter of 2027. It's possible. Again, my job is not to predict the future. It just isn't. Sorry. My job is just to understand these cycles. And is it really a good idea to get uber bullish once we actually get into 2026? I don't think so. And I think I've told all of you, I'm probably going to be unwinding both my public interaction and my actual active investing um, myself, speculative kind of investing once we sort of get beyond the end of this year. Um, so anyway, I mean, this isn't shouldn't be anything new to anybody who watches me regularly or has been a participant on TR. You better understand that we're coming into some sort of cycle pivot here. It should be a profitable window, and things like this OMG, because I'm coming in here at the very bottom end of the range. I mean, to all intents and purposes, I mean, this is the kick in the pants about this stupid business. And actually, this would be a good opportunity for you to interact with me. Let's see. I think there's 28 people watching the video. Let's see if you guys actually listen to me, or if you know this, and this is pretty common knowledge, but you'd be surprised how many people, especially the fucking circle jerk nut jobs in venture capital. But if you can get a better than this number annualized rate of return on your money, you have outperformed more than 90% of all investors ever. Now, what number is that? A little higher than that, Kevin. 2-1. No, that's not where I'm going. Pixel 6 Pro, is that one of your AI things, Chris, or is that actually a person? I have no idea who that is. Oh, that's you? Oh, okay. All right, fine. No, hey, there you go. Cole got it. And I would expect as much. Cole's smart as a whip. Very good, Kevin. The irony of it all is you only have to get like 30% annualized rate of return on your money, and you totally kill the public. Because the public, of course, they'll come in and they'll 10x their money and then give it all right back, hold it onto it, and it goes to zero and it's gone. It's like, oh, well, that was fun. Hope you enjoyed the ride. So if I come in on a name like this, OMG, to do better than 90% of all investors ever, I mean, if I just sit here and bought this thing and I do absolutely nothing, and I just sit here on this thing, I have to see this name go up to 25 cents. And here we are basically at what, 20 cents? Maybe a little bit more than that. Let's say 26 cents, somewhere in there. And all I got to do is just book that win, and I beat more than 90% of all investors ever if you just consistently do this, trade in, trade out. But nope, public usually comes in and buys sort of like halfway up this thing as it's going crazy, and crap, down we go. So I did not, in fact, actually, I mean, this is even a W. W is buy the fucking W.com, right? All that kind of crazy talk. But I wasn't going to buy up here, and I just worked my bid. It's interesting. People on the site actually took like a very competitive attitude towards me. Oh, I'm going to get a better price than you, Brian. And I think I've even said on site videos, I don't really care. Your performance is between you and your God, and I have absolutely no interest whatsoever in how you do. I mean, I wish you the best of luck. And, if you follow the principles that I teach you, on balance, it's actually difficult to lose money if you follow the principles. 2 rules of investing. But I don't have a competition with any of you. I couldn't care whether you do better than me or not. It's completely irrelevant in my eyes. In fact, really, the only way that I measure whether I actually do good or not is when I sit in bed at the end of the day. I ask God, okay, well, if I die tonight and I have a visit with you face to face, are you going to be proud of the work that I do in your name, or are you going to be embarrassed? And that's how I live my life. So, a big part of this show and doing all this is I'm trying to make a positive difference in your people's lives. That's what matters to me. Being competitive and, oh, I made more money than you. I couldn't give a shit about that. Couldn't give a shit. So anyway, I am a man of my word. I did come in and pick up a little bit of this guy, and through this entire weakness window, on balance, I think this weakness window, and I've been sort of talking with the site people. This was the video off of the big computer that I did on Friday, and hopefully you get the idea of what I'm expecting out of Bitcoin over this certain period. I don't really expect a full-on collapse, but at the same time, too, I think we all need to respect the fact that this short setup came in after this crazy ass run up here. While actually I was on the road, how ironic. And we did am out, and the market's working its way down. But if we had to come all the way back down to 93 and just technically clean up this picture, it really wouldn't be that big of a deal. But to all intents and purposes, I actually, you know what I think's going on here? I think this is what they call a descending wedge, which looks something like that. And ironically enough, that's actually inherently bullish, not bearish. I do have a better picture of it elsewhere, but I think you get the idea. I think actually I posted it in the lounge. Let's see if I have it there. Half of my problem is I like to just sit on my couch and stare out my window. I'm very, very spoiled. I live right on the ocean now. And so I just simply stare out my window on my laptop and do all my charts. And I come to the big computer to do this show with you, and I can't find half my damn charts because they're all on my laptop. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. It's irrelevant. All right, so here is the image that I was sharing from my laptop, I guess yesterday, on the site. And that, by definition, is a descending wedge, which does mean that the statistical odds of us coming down and washing these lows here, liquidity pools, blah blah blah, maybe even paint an M here, and the Besant and all those guys. Because keep in mind, right now, this is by far the hardest market state I have seen in years. And why? Because we're swimming with sharks right now. I might argue that with a guy like Biden, he probably just, said, look, I'm not interested in the stock market. Stock market does what it does, whatever. But, Donnie here, he is a professional shyster. He's a professional crook. And I'll think of Trump University and what a con job that was. And now you know what Donald Trump is. But having said that, I'm not certainly, endorsing socialism and over the top communism. I hate that stuff. And in fact, the sad part about it is I dislike all politicians. How can you tell when a politician is lying to you? And it doesn't matter whether they're some sort of communist bankster puppet like Biden, or some, and frankly speaking, I could very easily see Donnie here turn into a totalitarian dictator, and literally become an autocrat. And some of the things that he's doing right now, it looks like he is basically saying, look, I'm here and I ain't going anywhere until I die. But anyway, I guess we'll cross that bridge down the road. But the point here is that, especially with guys like Besant, who are, hey, I'm a professional hedge fund manager and I'm going to come over and clean up this US government, right? You can see the professional traders are at work. And of course, they're going to run stops. They're going to make life as difficult as possible. And remember also, too, that Bitcoin itself has been taken over by Wall Street, and basically Fink and all those guys. And, to all intents and purposes, they run their algorithms and their automated trading programs, high frequency trading, all that kind of fun stuff. There's a million different ways to make money in this market. And it is an extremely difficult market state right now. I also noticed too, and I think this is a very planned coincidence, I guess, for lack of a better term, in that, I actually come from the generation, the school and the market where Alan Greenspan was basically my hero. And he was a fan of hard money. Don't fuck with the money supply. That used to be the rule. Do not F with the money supply. You are just asking for trouble. Any country that ever F's with the money supply, and we used to make fun of Zimbabwe and Venezuela and all that stuff. And now, since basically, I guess probably since the great financial crisis, which was just basically the banksters screwing us all over. Watch The Big Short if you want to, a very real look at how corrupt and how criminal all that was. Um, and the sad part about it is the only guy who went to jail over that whole thing was some mid-tier bank flunky who really had no authority whatsoever. All of the people that really should have been thrown in jail and sued and companies should have gone bankrupt, they all got bailed out. And basically that set the tone for basically the world that we all live in now. It's like literally the mafia is running our world now. I mean, the mafia basically did run the world previously, but there was a certain sense of morality in our society, which is completely gone now. Just so sad. There's no moral fabric here at all. And one might even argue that the Americans going into this unholy deal with the CCP 20 years ago was, to a certain degree, the initiation of the destruction of the moral fiber of our society. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. So the point I would just simply make here is this is a descending wedge, which technically is a bullish setup. But by definition, we probably should see a third tag of this trend line to validate the descending wedge, which by definition means that we're probably going to have to wash these lows, which, from a classic technical perspective is going to cause the market to smile at us. But given the absolute screwiness of our society right now, I think that that's actually going to be a trap. So anyway, there's a whole bunch of rhetoric. Who knows whether you got any value out of any of all that. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. Couple of interesting developments in the broader market that does make me feel a little bit more optimistic going forward. And that is, isn't that interesting? Here's a fun anecdote of probably the type of market state that we're going into. Where's Adam? Is Adam watching today? Adam, where is Adam? I know Adam, he went to the coast. He lives in Sacramento. And I know he went to the coast. So I don't know whether he's actually here for this show. Usually he's here for these. But anyway, here's an interesting anecdote of probably the type of market state that should sort of dominate over the next 6 months. And this is Costco hot dogs. What the fuck? Anyway, if you came in here and you bought Costco hot dogs, you're making money from trading. So congratulations, Costco hot dog fans. And the cool part about it is that this is everything that we try and teach you guys. So not a big surprise, good old reload zones right up against trendline tags. I mean, that's a fantastic trade location. And that's 7 and 14 is right in here. So you got yourself a nice, easy, comfortable double. And just rinse and repeat. That's the kind of environment I think we're in right now. What's interesting about this, though, is I don't think that this actually stuff turns up in earnest until Donnie actually turns back up. And as soon as Donnie turns back up, then I think we're right back in bull mode. So I have been sharing this chart with everybody for the past little while. Is this completed its correction process? I don't know. It's close. The whole premise, of course, is we want to try and force ourselves if we want to buy these assets. We want to force ourselves to come in at the bottom ends of ranges. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of panic dip, kind of like what you just saw in Costco hot dogs. Some sort of panic dip down into 78.6 and trend lines and all that kind of fun stuff. Original market structure, Wyckoff checks, blah, blah, blah. It's remarkable how cliche all this shit is, people. It's stunningly cliche. And what do you think the odds are that, you see this big dump here and poor old public, what the fuck? I mean, how many times does this have to happen for the public to go, you know what? I'm not going to listen to Donnie and his bullshit and stupid dinners and all that crap. You're buying into that, you're a fool. But the point of the matter here is market, violently dumps lower. All the morons who bought up top here, they're all absolutely destroyed. Now, what do you think is happening from a sort of professional technician's perspective down here? Now that we're getting back into trade location, what do you think? And remember, ironically enough, all you got to do is remember these four letters. Anybody remember? Can anybody spit out what are the four letters that I'm going to write on the screen here right now? It's really simple. If you can just remember these four letters, you can keep yourself out of a hell of a lot of trouble. Let's see if anybody can remember the four letters. Cool, you know this. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. Thank you. So, and really, this is what I would suggest you all go through this process. So, do we have trade location? Well, it looks like we've made it back into reload zone, so that's good. So, location, I think we can give a check mark. And then the second question, and this was the question that I had just a moment ago, what do you think is now happening with the fact that we're making lower lows here? And we haven't done it here, but do you see the magnitude of the move? What do you think I'm thinking here? First off, do you think the market's getting oversold? I don't know. Let's take a look. Built indicators to specifically identify if a market is actually oversold or overbought. So what do you think, folks? Does that look like a market that's oversold or overbought? Thank you, Kevin. And of course, anybody who's taken my education program, this is basically the cornerstone of my teaching. When this yellow line, this is an indicator that I built myself. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out over time. Lots of people borrow this indicator and just talk about how it's theirs. And it's almost funny on the internet how we have to remind people that you will never find this indicator just off of the shelf. It doesn't exist. So anyway, point of the matter here is if this yellow line gets down below minus 80, that means this market is officially oversold. So this is what I call the Willie indicator. And it's basically flashing. It would not be a good idea if you were long and you were like panicking and you wanted to sell and get out. It would not be a good idea to sell here. Doesn't necessarily mean that this isn't a short, but here, yeah, maybe just be patient. Let this get out of the oversold condition. And then if you start getting further reasons to justify selling and shorting, okay, fine. But here, no, that's actually what I like to call stupid. Willie is stupid. And as a broker, I would be saying, you, my dear client, are a stupid idiot for wanting to sell now. You missed the opportunity up here. So, from the licks perspective, we can actually start saying, these indicators are starting to look interesting. The market is oversold. Now, this is where, keep moving on this. Now, we want indicator confirmation. And really, the confirmation, the LIC of this, is all about one word and one word only. And no, it doesn't start with a C, but it's close. Who can help me here? What is the one word that we're looking for from our indicators to give us that confirmation that, yeah, you know what? We're ready to rock and roll. Oh, no, 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 no. No, you're jumping ahead here, Kevin. And that's cool. I mean, you're learning. That's totally fine. If anything, good on you for trying. There you go. Archery. Nice. Norray. Of course, Norray. What a boss. So the question here is, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, is you see the magnitude of this drop. Bang! Right? And of course, some idiots are coming in and actually buying the day of that stupid dinner. Oh, these people never learn. This is the classic buy the rumor, sell the news. If you've never heard that before, for God's sakes, write that down. So sell the news into that event, and sure enough, they sold. Anyway, so the point here is we've got indicators flashing oversold, but do we have divergence? That's what I want to see for us to give a check mark under the C, indicator confirmation. So I want to see that divergence concept. So notice market made a new low here on our volume indicators. Oh, looks like there's still some selling here. So there's no divergence there. On our price momentum indicators, MACD. Oh, hello. What do we have down here? So notice on our price momentum indicator, we made a lower low in price and a lower low in momentum. So let's go like that. And let's see if we can stretch this out so you can see this. There we go. And then let's go like that. There you go. So now hopefully you can see this. So a low, then a lower low in price, but a higher low in momentum. And I would call this potential divergence as it's making this low. And there are a lot of traders that will just simply hunt for this potential state here and say, look, the market's not making, the market's making new lows in price, but it's not pushing to new lows in momentum. So if I get any kind of turn here at all on like the lower time frames, any kind of indication whatsoever, I'm going with it. And we have a couple day traders that will look at this, and there's nothing wrong with it. Remember, there's a million different ways to skin the cat, but they might look at something like that and say, look, I've got a divergence here. If I get any kind of buy signal here, I'm going for it. And with Willie's stupid or, borderline stupid, okay, fine. It's not, this would be a bit more advanced. And frankly speaking, if you're relatively new to this and you're still, cutting your teeth as a technician, I think, and the reason why I teach this way is I think it's actually in your best interest to just simply let the divergence confirm itself. Now, what do I mean by confirm? What I mean is I want to see price making a lower low if we're thinking buying bullish. And I want to see the indicator not make a lower low, but more importantly, the indicator itself actually goes and confirms what we call market structure, or basically a W in the indicator. So that actually happens over here. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. What this means, though, at this point here, if I'm following the Licks logic, if there is such a thing, do I still have this on here? Because this divergence has actually been confirmed on MACD, I can actually, I can actually give a check mark to my C. So that's great. We've got divergence. Ooh, awesome. So that's what I was trying to point out there earlier. And I was hoping maybe you guys might see that yourself, is that we actually have location, reload zones. We actually have indicator confirmation. Willie is stupidly oversold. And MACD has confirmed, momentum divergence, price momentum divergence. We're only missing one thing. for us to actually turn bullish? And now, Kevin, you can write what you wrote before. What is it? What's the last ingredient of our licks? What do you call that? Acronym? Is that what they call that? The letters? What does S stand for that we would like to see? Anyone? Bueller? No, it doesn't stand for Bueller. What is it that we want to see here now for us to actually turn bullish? And I'm just giving you a master class on how to fucking make $1 million trading. This all speaks to rule number 1 of Brian's 2 rules of investing. So anyway, before we get into that, let's just finish this off. Thank you very much. What does that say? Diverted light. Interesting how we were just talking about indicator confirmation. Structure. So the question I have here for you now is, do we have price structure now to actually complete our licks? What did I call that again? Yeah. There's a what's the word for if you're just going to use letters to describe like a long word thing? I think it's called anyway, whatever the hell the word is. Do we have structure yet? Thank you, DMAC. Anyone? We don't have anybody in the lounge today, which is kind of interesting. I'm a bit surprised nobody's joined us on the Zoom call here. Usually we have a couple regulars, but I guess the market's so boring right now. We don't even have those. Well, okay. I think you got a little bit backwards there, DMAC. That would make acronym. All right. Thank you. JM, what is that? JMO from J side says it's acronym. So you know what? Just because I'm so stupid, I think I better write that down. Acronym. And I think I'm going to make that like 28 points. So I'll have to remember that for the rest of my life. Acronym. Acronym. I think I got that right. And no structure. That's right. There's no W there yet, but I don't know whether you see this or not. We could very easily get a cute little W. Look, it could come in like there to there to there, which would be very tight, but it would be legit. And if you said, well, you know what, I want to take this trade, I'm totally jonesing. And if that double bottom comes in, I'm totally going long. Okay, just as long as you live by the sword, die by the sword. If we break the W, you better get the hell out of there. Me personally, I think I would prefer that we actually get the W to completely form inside the reload zone. But I think this is a really good analogy that's just simply saying, look we are step 1, step 2, step 3, we are now basically in step 4 of this very long process that takes to play out to actually say, yes, this market has turned and up we go. So, it might even be interesting just to see hypothetically. I don't know whether we did or not. We had Willie nice and stupid here. Didn't really have any divs down in this area here. But, there's plenty of examples that I can show you: location, indicator confirmation, price structure, go. I do like what I'm seeing here. I mean, me personally, not really the biggest fan of orange toupees. I don't really like people who wear toupees. You can see me. If I'm losing my hair, I'll just basically play it out as it goes. And if I start looking like a doofus, I'll shave my head. But not really a big fan of people that do things like plugs and wigs and toupees and stuff like that. Might as well just be who you are. But anyway, that's here nor there. So just the point that I would just make is I personally wouldn't buy this. And I don't like this person, and that's just the way it is. But there's no reason why you can't hunt this setup. If you like it, I mean, the fascinating thing is nothing really changes with this whole logic. I do see this happening right across the board. And since, of course, this clown is driving the bus right now, my hunch here is that as soon as this thing turns, then we're going to be right back into orgy mode and all that kind of fun talk, making tons of money from crypto. And look at that, we're all driving Lambos and blah, 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 blah. Gucci sweater wearers, they're all the rage. And of course, I'm going to be barking at you, for God's sakes, if this thing pops up top here, don't chase, right? Wait for consolidations, do the LICS acronym, go through this process of just being patient and disciplined and just letting the trade set up, and it's rinse and repeat. We just do the same damn shit over and over and over and over. So I guess just what I'm trying to say about this is we've gone through a correction process. I was actually a little disappointed, to be honest with you, but our breadth indicator, which we have in the newsletter here, we included in here, it actually set up a really, really cool oversold condition. And I actually liked what I was seeing in the market here. And I was even like, damn, you want indicator confirmation? There's your indicator confirmation. And like names like that OMG, the market actually bounced pretty damn violently there. If you were able to make some money off of that, great. But oh boy, I mean, that was a big jump there. We've kind of come back down. We're back down against the bottom end of range here again. I went and picked up had some stink bids working at this 78.6 level right in here. I got filled. Am I taking a bit of heat on this? Yeah, but in the bigger context of things, am I too stressed? I mean, this is insane. Am I too stressed about, you can't even see the damn price. Where did the price go? I mean, if we actually do go into some crazy ass rally mode here into the fall, my God, there's so much money to be made here. It's insane. So I'm not really too stressed out about this thing bumping along the bottom here. I just wanted to make damn sure, of course, that I do not buy when markets are going straight up like this. Market did double, so of course I let half go, so I get that risk-free trade, and then I just start working my bids again against the bottom ends of ranges. This Unify, actually, this is another one that I went and picked up a little bit. The market kind of popped up there recently. Oops. And as I said, a little disappointed that we actually moved as fast as we did. But I just draw my reload zones, and this one right down at the bottom end of the range, I kind of like this move. That's that pop that you see on the breadth indicator. And I was a little bit concerned that things were going to take off like a rocket here. But we've calmed back down. And that little short-term pop there, thank heavens, the market didn't really go crazy and just straight up and leave us behind. So if anything, I kind of like this pullback right back down against the bottom end of the range here as a fantastic way to sneak my way into a whole bunch of names that I really wanted to reacquire or add to my position. So there's a good example. I mean, this is so me. This is just so typical what I do. And I mean, from this perspective, you go, all right, well, you picked it up at 20. Is it realistic that maybe into the fall we get pops up into these wicks? All these poor trap bulls that bought up top here, they're going to want release. So ironically enough, as soon as they get ready to sell, I'll be selling halves on doubles and establishing risk-free trades, blah, blah, blah. But you tell me, has this thing got any room to move up here? I don't know. Any room? I mean, it's almost laughable. This damn thing was $15. And I'm in here buying this silly thing at 20 cents. This is nuts. I mean, look at the size of this wick right here. So if we get any kind of rally here over the next 6 months into that wick, I'm laughing, right? There's 10x just to get back to this wick. That's 10x. So I don't really know the fundamentals of this. All I know is, man, they're just throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and I'm more than happy to step in there and do some nibbling. And you could do the whole licks thing if you wanted to. Do we have location? Do we have divergences developing on these pushes lower? Do you have price structure? It's up to you. This particular strategy that I'm running here is not so concerned about the market timing as it is that I just want to force myself to come in and just acquire these names when everybody in the public is just throwing them away and not even thinking twice about this. That's fine by me. I think affectionately over the years, we called it at least I called it the little old lady strategy. And it's just a simple way to force yourself to acquire names that are being discounted, and you don't go and throw too much money at the name. Very strict rules. Then that would be my second rule of investing. So think of licks as rule number one. So there's two rules of investing. And if you've never seen this before, for God's sakes, write this down, take a screenshot. So we said rule number one is we want to trade with some sort of algorithmic process, a system, three rules, reasons to justify you risking your hard-earned money. Some sort of like systematic approach that if this and that and the other thing happen, then you act. And then the second rule is, and you could even put in here three reasons. And if you want to use, of course, can't really write too well with this thing. Anyway, that's a reason. If you want to think licks, keep it simple, stupid. That's not a bad way to do the algo. Right? It works very, very well over the years. Then rule number two is all about two words, RM. What the hell is RM? Now that's all about risk management. So rule number two just simply says that we never want to risk more than 5% of our stake or what we have to work with ever on any one single idea. So if you can keep yourself within that risk framework, then you could technically have on 20 different positions in your account, your portfolio, your stake, whatever you want to call it. And every single one of them you could risk to zero, it going to zero, and you wouldn't break that second rule of investing. What typically would happen is either I would have like a little old lady, and this is just simply we'll just say 5% risk, right? Is that 5% max risk, we'll say, on any one particular position. And those are the two rules. If you can follow rule number one and rule number two, it actually becomes very, very difficult for you to actually lose money at this game of investing. And trust me, over my years, I have seen people lose insane amounts of money. It's embarrassing how much money I have seen people lose at this game of investing because they just simply won't follow the two rules of investing, which is tragic. But how do you have empathy for anybody if you specifically tell them the rules and they specifically look in your face and say, I don't care, I'm going to do what I do? How can you have empathy for anybody like that? I don't have empathy for any of them. And all of these fools that have come into cryptocurrency and just lost just insane amounts of money because of people like Do Kwon or Bickenhead and all that kind of bullshit. Well, I mean, it's your own fault. You don't follow the rules and you lost money. Well, you're an idiot. And that, sadly, That's the kind of attitude, of course, that people don't like. I'm supposed to, according to Jojo, be making a positive difference in this world. And I don't really talk this way with the public when I do these shows, because I'm trying to be, positive and make a positive difference in your life. But if you just won't listen to me, and you've been working with me for like 10, 15 years, and you just won't listen, and you keep losing money like a fucking idiot, well, it's your own damn fault. Brian's done plenty over the past 10, 15 years that anybody who's been working with me or knows about this channel should be able to manage themselves on a professional basis in the marketplace. And you should never hear the words wrecked or and it's gone and all that kind of talk. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm a little disappointed that my message hasn't resonated as well as it should have. I don't know whether it's a mistake on my part. I have made a couple critical errors here over the past 5-10 years with regard to this project. It might be a failing on my part because, I just love talking so much and I don't clearly articulate the message. But the long and short of it is, ironically enough, most of you that I see on YouTube who are interacting with me, I know you guys have been around here forever, and I know you guys know the rules, and I actually have no fear of any of you blowing yourselves up because I think actually you've learned and you know how to play the game. It's sadly, you know what it is? It's the people that actually get this information for free. They're the people that actually don't respect the information, and sadly, because they don't respect it, they don't follow the rules. So anyway, there's a whole bunch of rant out of nowhere. I'm not quite sure what the purpose of all that was, but hell, I feel a hell of a lot better getting it off my chest. Anyway, so I'm a man of my word. I think there's money to be made here. I definitely think we're going to rally into the fall here. And I am stepping up and I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm buying more stuff down here as I see setups come in. So I just gave you actually a couple that I've been buying. And there was one more that I bought over the weekend. What the hell was it? It was that, and I really like this one too. And actually, it's interesting. Somebody in the TRI lounge actually said, "Oh yeah, Brian, fundamentally they're doing this." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, well, fundamentals, that's good." That helps. So, but anyway, I bought some more of this C pool. I mean, geez, look at that chart. I mean, that's got everything about me written all over it. I love coming in at the bottom ends of ranges. This thing might have to go and wash these lows and spend the next month or so cleaning itself out while Donnie's, trying to get his story, pumping again. And then once the Donnie names are pumping again and he's talking about things, I mean, well, anyway, the point of the matter here is I went and picked up a bit more of this C pool. We made some absolutely great money on this big pump last year. I mean, it was really quite remarkable how much we took out of the market on this silly thing. And they've just brought it right back down to the bottom. Keep in mind, like this is 11 cents and up here, this is 60 cents. That's a 5-bagger just going back to things like 4.669s. I'm not even actually expecting this thing to break out to new highs, and I can already get 5x on my money. 50% retracements, I should be able to get 300% return on my money. Now, what did I say was if you could do better than this number, you've beaten more than 90% of all investors ever. The thing is you have to consistently do this. Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm on Kraken, right? So you're probably going to show me a chart that starts a million miles lower. And it wouldn't surprise me. I'm on the Kraken, so that's why I have that there. Where you want me to go where? KuCoin. That's the Koreans, eh? That's this one here. All right. And versus Tether too. All right. There you go. Yeah. So, I mean, that makes sense. Really, what I'm doing is I'm playing against these lows. Right? And if anything, what I wouldn't be surprised here, Nore, is this actually looks to me like it's going to make a head and shoulders. So it's something like there to there to there to there to somewhere around here. And then this is the rally this fall. And, as of 2026, you heard me bark. Oh, come on, you. You heard me barking earlier. I think that the cycle pivot here for crypto is this fall. So if anything, I'd probably be looking for something along those lines. And whatever this rally is this fall, I'm going to be ringing the register. Actually, I don't mind that. That's not a terrible looking chart, but I definitely like this kind of thinking here, Nori, for whatever it's worth. And really, the bottom line here, I suppose, if I was talking specifically about this, is I would just simply say, can you show me a reload zone of that range? So it's as of this point here that actually I can start getting interested. You can see it just absolutely puked out, actually went all the way down to 88.6, and then started to do its cleaning up act. Could we play around for a little while against this low here over the next month or so? Sure, that wouldn't surprise me. I'm not pounding the table here, and I'm certainly not telling any of you to buy this. I couldn't give a shit whether you buy it or not. That's not the point of this. But I said earlier is I'm a man of my word. I definitely think that the crypto market is rallying, or planning on rallying, I guess is the best way to describe it. Over here, this is the chart I'm looking for, into this cycle pivot. Is the market actually going to work its way all the way up to 250 Gs? I got no idea. That's not my job. All my job is I just went, well, interesting. A to B, consolidation, C to D. Oh, okay. Well, that looks like a half decent price objective. Am I expecting this market to move up into some sort of peak here this fall? Absolutely. Am I predicting that the market will go to 250 grand? No, I don't know where the fuck the market's going to go. It might just piddle along here and then M out and then crap out. If that's what it does, that's what it does. But, in fact, what I put out on the social media here today, Twitter or whatever the fuck you want to call it, higher highs and higher lows defines a bull market. So as long as I keep seeing higher highs and higher lows, well, I think this is still a bull. And I'm not going to say, you know what, this is a bear, it's over. Until, and I got to sneeze, hold on. Oh boy. Whoa, only two. Tis. Anybody who follows me knows that that's not a good sign. Anyway, higher highs and higher lows. As long as I see that, then I am still thinking in bull mode. Actually, an interesting anecdote. I like to follow 13 EMA and 30 SMA. And whatever this relationship is, that's basically tells me the trend off of the weekly basis. And I will say that, through the winter there, and I guess the latter part of the winter, things were starting to look a little dicey there for yield Bitcoin. And then we smartly just jumped right out of that. Moving averages crossed back bullish. And then we punched up to new highs here. And as I had said earlier with Basant and, these, and Fink running the crypto show and high frequency trading and algos and all that kind of stuff dominating our society right now, I wouldn't be surprised if they make this look as ugly as poop here. My hunch is for whatever it's worth, is this trend line, which is actually an old trend line off of previous highs, that high and that high. I think this actually acts as a pretty good support line here in the near term. My thinking is that you see 38.2, 50%. You see where the moving averages are. I would not be surprised if we had to pull back into there And then we get some sort of rally up to finish this move up into wherever the hell this peak is this fall. That's generally speaking what I'm thinking here. But the market will do any old damn thing it wants. And I certainly have no sell signals here per se right now. What I have been suggesting to people on the daily basis is we did have a bit of a top that came in there off of these lower time frames. This is a 30-minute. You probably see it better off of things like the 4-hour chart. And actually, you saw this top really well defined off the 4-hour. Started to come down here. And actually, about a week or two ago, I had put out, holy crap, this is looking dangerous. So it's interesting how the entire market dumped there, and things like the total market cap. This thing actually dumped into 50% of anticipated moves. So short setups that actually fired on this M right here, they were told to move their stop to scratch, and they got blown out at scratch. The Bitcoin trade, it never did hit the 50% of that move. It just missed it by a hair. But nonetheless, live by the sword, die by the sword. That level was not traded to. So we're said to just sit here and go, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe we're going to lose money. Who knows? So fascinating how we rallied right back up against the top end of the range. And this is what I'm sort of talking about the sort of basants and the hedge fund managers and stuff ruling the world. What a shock if you actually do the measurement, considering everything I talked to you about licks. Look where this darn market topped out. So really, if anything, this is further testament that the hedge fund managers are running the show here in earnest. So there is your reload short zone off of this entire range. Rallied right into it. Zing, zing, zing. A triple top breakdown, and back down we go. Wow, what a shock. So this image right here, I hate to say it, this is the anecdote. This is the fingerprint, right? This is the, oh, I caught you with the smoking gun. This image right here is the testament that Besant and Fink and all these, Wall Street professionals are actually driving the bus in this crazy ass story. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. I wouldn't be surprised now, like I had said earlier. I like that. That's our trading range right now. And I don't think that this thing pukes out here, but I wouldn't be surprised if we actually have to come down and tag that 50% level. And I wouldn't be surprised if the next few months look something along those lines. At least I'd say the next couple months. It's going to be choppier than hell. There's no doubt about it. So anyway, that's sort of what I'm thinking here. And I just want a full disclosure, right? I just want to show you that I am a man of my word. And I actually am in here buying some names that look attractive to me that I did sell on when we had our last big run-ups. And basically, the OMG write-up is a little bit better write-up. I haven't done the write-up on this C pool yet. But hopefully you get the idea of my funny little multiple car scenario, car carriers. I mean, this is just what I do. I do it year in, year out, decade in, decade out. Nothing ever changes with this capitalism story. The one good thing about these cryptocurrencies is, to all intents and purposes, I think they're more like commodities than classic stocks. So what I found really interesting was a name that I actually did invest in, and a guy that I actually had a lot of respect for in the space, but it turns out I think he was just as much of a shyster as everybody else. He was a principal in this particular name, but I found it fascinating that this thing just keeps churning away. I'm not quite sure if this is going to come up here. Let's see what happens. I know there's a specific address. I just can never remember what the hell it is. No, it's not UBD. I think it was UBQ, wasn't it? Anyway, I mean, it's not trading anymore. It's sort of gone. Why did I put UBD there? And ironically enough, I had made a funny joke. If this thing ever did actually get back up to the top end of its range, I would dye my hair purple. It might happen. Who knows? I've got a shit ton of it. I'll definitely be able to afford the dye. But what I found interesting was if you actually went to this thing, I don't know whether there is a page, but I don't know where it is that like literally shows you this thing. There we are, this thing here. I mean, this is theoretically a dead story in this space, but you tell me, does that look dead? Looks like it's just doing its thing. Now, maybe this thing is like, look at that. It just did it again. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. It looks like it's still active. So what I wouldn't be surprised, of course, is then you can see last block. So they're just doing their thing. But it's an interesting anecdote of crypto because I think once you actually get these blockchains up and running, and you don't fuck around with the governance and issue a whole shitload of coins or pre-mine and completely undermine the network and stuff like that. I think actually you could probably just let the darn thing just run and come back 5 years from now and still see it's just doing its thing. That's the sort of commodity nature of this. I'm not quite sure how to figure out what the hell's going on with this thing. It looks like they're still in business, but try getting a price quote on this on exchanges and stuff for this thing. It just doesn't exist. So anyway, this is an interesting anecdote of crypto. Whereas in the stock market, of course, they can always dilute the shit out of the stock and then go and borrow money from the bank. And then if they can't make the interest payments, then they basically have to declare bankruptcy and it's gone. So very, very different, kind of apples and oranges assets. So that's the one reason why I kind of think, and I'm not making any fundamental recommendations about any of these things. Most of them I just trade purely off of technicals. I like to buy the bottom ends of ranges, etc. That does mean, of course, they need to be trading. So this silly thing, I've got, I think, about like 80,000 of these damn coins, but they're basically worthless. Number one reason why I have the second rule of investing. But, it's interesting, like with a lot of these names, especially, things like this H bar. This is another one that I don't have, but actually I would like to try and get into. A little bit expensive here. I don't think I really like this price here per se. But like you've got Donnie coming out and saying we're going to like purposefully promote American names and all that kind of talk. So, this thing comes screaming back there last fall when, to all intents and purposes, if you were sitting in this thing last fall before Donnie was elected, you'd be thinking you're dying 1,000 deaths there. When ironically enough, if you look at Brian and his funny little rules of investing, right, we actually should have been starting to get interested in here. So you'd have the L of licks, and then, maybe we start getting oversold messages. Oh, Willie's stupidly oversold. So now we start getting the I messages. MACD actually goes into divergence here. So now we're starting to get the C messages. So now it's just really a question of, do we have W's in price to actually frame the risk? And lo and behold, here comes the W's. I don't know whether that's a legit W. It looks like we went to new lows, but gee whiz, look at that MACD div. Look at Willie Stupid there, and just, any reason to get long, and you've got your licks, right? But I think half the reason why this name went crazy like this is because, some silly politician comes out and says, well, we're going to really promote American names. I don't know. I mean, you never know what the fuck's going to drive these things. But I guess just the point I'm making is if you don't break the 5% rule and you force yourself to come in at bottom ends of ranges, well, good things can happen in life, and then, if you take good risk management rules, you don't even really have to be that good of a timer. Just don't risk too much money and force yourself to come in at the bottom end of range. And all of a sudden this happens and you're sitting on doubles, triples, whatever. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. So still like the idea of us rallying into the fall here. I don't see any reason why this should change. And I am loading up on ideas that I like. This is probably a good example of one though that I couldn't buy. I'd like to, but it's still just too expensive, right? So if I did the whole licks thing, you can see there is the reload zone. Yes, we got into reload zones. I suppose you could start saying, well, you got divergence, you've got indicator confirmation. Did you go in here? You could have. I wouldn't fault you if you did. But me personally, I would rather, especially with 78.6, you know how much I love that level. I'd rather see this thing dump down into these lows and then start getting hunting. But that's just me. All right. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. I hope you got some value out of all that. I guess the question here in the near term, you're looking for fundamental reasons. Why is this thing pausing here? I make the argument that thought it was interesting. Chris had pointed out we have in the newsletter, we have a triple witching coming up here. And I wouldn't be surprised if we actually look at things like the IBIT leaps. You really typically call a June option a leap though. But pretty important expiry for the higher time frame players, the institutional players, the June option. Used to be quadruple witching, but they got rid of stock futures options. Don't really have stock futures anymore. So triple witching, but nonetheless, that June contract. So in a weird sort of way, you can kind of figure out, and this is probably what I'm going to be doing a little bit more of going forward, is just basically generating income through option rights. I'm concerned once we get into 2026 that the upside potential of the stock market might be limited. If you've done any of the research with me about inflation, then you should expect that we're going to go through an absolutely horrific inflationary spiral here in 2027 and 2028. I do think to a certain degree that does limit upside potential in the market. And of course, if you follow Benner's cycle, then you know that we have to dip into 30. And if you follow the crypto cycle, I mean, the interesting thing about the crypto cycle is I can tell you almost exactly when I'm going to want to be getting back in and buying back anything if I happen to sell here. And that is right here, right? You even see the circle. So this will be actually my buying window. It starts in about September of 2026. And the buying window goes on right through to May 2027. So I don't know what the hell happens in this world, but the latter part of 2026 and the beginning part of 2027, this is something really, really ugly is about to befall our society through that window. Now, I suppose this brings us full circle. Why would Brian be talking like that? And interestingly, the specter of international war seems to be raising its ugly head. And I included this oil ETFs chart in this week's newsletter as one sort of, this is, I think, a good example of, way to go, cool. I think this is one example of we're not really going to try and predict the future in this business, but we need to listen to the market. And sadly, market actually is screaming at us here. That's a pretty damn big reversal in the marketplace. considering that we actually had a very bearish chart pattern here working. And frankly speaking, I don't think that this is an accident, which is really tragic for us humans. Did Israel really have to go and attack Iran? I don't think so. I think this is a very convenient coincidence for a number of stakeholders around the world. And then, in the face of the market actually smiling at us and actually pointing to the fact that, well, this market really should correct back down into reload zones if we really want to invest. And all of a sudden, mysteriously, out of nowhere, there was this manufactured war. Have we ever seen these Western societies manufacture reasons to go on a murderous rampage? Hint, 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 250,000 Iraqi citizens mysteriously were unalived through the window. And it turns out that actually there was no justification whatsoever to manufacture a war in the country of Iraq. I suppose that's a little bit more of a hint, a little bit more than just a hint, I will say. I'm sure the Jews are going to sit there and say, there's 100 different reasons why we had to do this now. And you certainly wouldn't want to see a mushroom cloud on the horizon. Isn't that exactly the same phraseology that George Bush Jr. used to justify the invasion of Iraq? And it turns out that Colin Powell completely destroyed his professional reputation by standing up in front of the world and accusing Iraq of having weapons of mass destruction, and yet they never found a single one. And trust me, if there ever was one, then they would have paraded it up and down fucking Pennsylvania Avenue saying, see, everything was justified, but they never found anything. Is history repeating itself a little bit here? I wonder. So, a bit of a sad commentary for all of us Joe Six-Packs in the world, because we were actually on the brink, and keep in mind, this market was actually smiling at us. There was a full-on short trade going here. The world was actually on the brink of actually de-inflating here, which would have made all of our standards of living a hell of a lot better. And now, mysteriously, all out of nowhere, and keep in mind, that's a hell of a lot of momentum built up in that one candle there. That's a weekly candle. This move will not end with just this one candle. I've never in my career seen a massive up move like this, and then it just instantly reverses and we head back down to the downside. At the very least, they're going to go up and they're going to test this high here, and let's see whether this actually is a breakout or not. I think it is. One lower, higher low, two higher lows, three higher lows, four higher lows. Okay, we'll go and wash out these weak lows. We do not take out the original low. Look how close they came here. Then they put in a bottom and woohoo, away we go. And what's also interesting about this is if you look at like the individual oil stocks, we had just the most incredible buy setup here about a week or two ago on things like Halliburton. We all remember Halliburton. That was Dick Cheney's company. Again, I mean, absolute criminal behavior by these corporations and stuff over the years, but of course, perfectly legal. So you can't catch them. In fact, probably Beamish will get sued for saying things like criminal behavior. But we all know the story of Halliburton and Dick Cheney and all that crap. But anyway, fascinating how this oil service stock all of a sudden mysteriously started to break out about a week or two ago. Now, does that maybe imply that, because keep in mind, stocks always lead the commodity. So does that maybe imply that maybe the world, and especially the people that are in charge, actually knew what was going to happen here a week or two ago? I don't know. You tell me. So, point here is all these oil stocks. This is ExxonMobil, biggest oil company in the world, right? And this isn't even just limited to the U.S. I thought it was interesting. Precision Drilling, which is a Canadian oil play. Look at that beautiful breakout. I mean, you see all these W's everywhere. So my hunch is that the people in the know, IMO, I think, is Imperial Oil. This is a Canadian company. It's down in the States, but I don't know. You tell me. There's that same move in Halliburton and ExxonMobil there. I don't know. Hopefully, all of you look at that and go, "Son of a bitch, that's a bullish spot." And boom, look at it taking off here. So this may be slightly planned. No, that's the disgusting part about being a good technician is you can see what's going to happen, but you never know the why. And that's what I think's going on here. I think we all at TRI clearly saw that the oil price was going to move up. And it was just a question of what was going to be the driver that caused the move up. And it turns out that, oh my God, we better act now, or, we're never going to get another opportunity to do this again, because heaven forbid we wouldn't want to see a mushroom cloud. That's a lot of ifs and buts. Isn't it supposed to be innocent until proven guilty? I mean, I'm not necessarily coming to the defense of Iran, but don't make no mistake about it. All of the old expression, it takes two to tango. And whenever I used to get into fistfights on the playground, the teachers would always say, "Look you must have said something to piss that guy off." Usually these things just aren't just one-sided. Usually there's two sides to this. So I'm not necessarily saying that Iran is such a good character here, but I'm certainly not saying that Israel is without their warts, because they got plenty of things to bitch and complain about. I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is we were actually on the cusp of actually being in a relatively good economic situation here. I like to follow my inflation deflation guide. And it actually started topping out. And it's sort of like, wow, we as consumers, we might actually get a bit of a break here. But the interesting thing, if you actually read the reports about inflation recently, food prices, God, if you go to a Chinese grocery store, China-D's grocery store, it's embarrassing, the prices. They just keep going up and up and up and up and up. If you go to any services, dentists, insurance, doctors, lawyers, accountants, whatever, those prices are still going up. The only reprieve that we actually had was the oil price. And what's fascinating about this, again, did we have any indications that maybe this was going to be problematic? The irony of it all is that I actually painted out to our community about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago back over here. We got problems on the horizon. And sure enough, this inverted head and shoulders played itself out. So if you actually pull up all the inflation reports, and I think I showed this on, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this though. Probably won't be able to do this, but I'll try. The inflation reports that came out recently, all in the actual reports, they even said, and of course, there you go. They even said recently that inflation, unfortunately, is ticking back up. Inflation was doing pretty well. And the reason why it was doing well was because of falling energy prices. Well, that's just been taken away from us now. So unfortunately, I think it was even in here. Might even been maybe just the headline number. Let's see. All right. So even say here, meanwhile, energy costs declined 3.5%. So the annual inflation rate is going to 2.1%, the lowest and so prices rose more for food, transportation, used cars and trucks, new vehicles. On the other hand, inflation fell slightly for shelter. Meanwhile, energy costs declined 3.5%, following a 3.7% fall in April. So the problem here is that this sort of reprieve that we've all gotten here, that's going to be taken away from us. So get right back into, we better expect higher energy prices going forward. And look how quickly they took that back from us, jerks. So I don't know whether this is the start of a new bull. It is interesting how we have gone back up into reload zones. And if you actually look at the price itself, you actually see that we spiked higher. We probably should play at this 1.618 level for a bit. We should also play at this trend line, but this trend now, unfortunately, is pointing up. And if this is normal bifurcation kind of price action, we probably have to start thinking about things like 2.618, which will be a test of this high. And then, of course, if this thing does carve out some sort of inverted head and shoulders, then we're looking at much, much higher prices. And if we look at that newsletter and the tweet that I put out, if we look at the USO, actually, that's not the image I wanted to show you. Where did the newsletter go? I thought I had it on here. There's that funny Ubik. Oh, well. Anyway, let's see if I can try and find it. Can I get back onto that page? Where the hell was it? Was it over here? Well, anyway, I think we have it. There it is. All right. This is actually now a bot setup. So we've got all the lows. I mean, technically, you could have gone long right off of that double bottom. And even with this recent breakdown here, that actually is still valid because you have to risk against that low there for the bot, the zero line here. Look how close it came. So now this thing has turned back up. I think this bot is now fully in control. And look where the damn thing is taking us. I mean, this is the USO, so it's sitting at like $80 right now, and we need to go up another $60. So that quite literally means that the price of oil needs to go up about, this is just off of the previous that prior to that $7 jump. That's an 80% move higher or $60 higher. Now with this taken back, let's knock $10 off of that and we'll go, $50. But 50, I mean, Jesus Christ, this oil price is going to get ridiculous. And that's if we're lucky. We top out at this ABCD. Typical parking garage, you see Bitcoin, it loves to do that way up there at 170. There's the 4.669. That's the natural bifurcation level. And of course, if this is an alt ABCD, we can go all the way up to that 1.618, which is all the way up at 180 on this thing. So you sit there and you go, and I don't know whether you've seen this from me before or not, but so you see Brian go, well, we're probably going to replicate the inflation picture that we saw from the last great reset. And of course, it's always a question of where the hell do you find this damn data? I never have it handy. Oh, there it is. I was lucky. So unfortunately, I think, there is the scamdemic and the inflation that we went through that. And we got into the low double digits. Oh boy, that's nothing in comparison to what we got ahead of us. So I think for them to pull off this total scam, great reset shit, they have to have another massive wave of inflation here where we can actually get really close to like 20% annualized inflation. I don't know what it's going to be, but this could be uglier than who knows what the reason is. You can't write better fiction than reality, but you can see the sad part about it is the writing is starting to appear on the walls. You can start to see the future, which really sucks. Horse, you know what. So go and buy yourself some energy. Maybe go buy some energy stocks. Suppose, I have shown you the Newmont chart from the 1980s. And that was my justification for being bullish on Newmont. I wasn't able to sneak into the damn trade, which pisses me off. Do have a whole bunch of other metal stocks on the books. But, I suppose if this is the kind of insane inflation that we're expecting down the road, would it not make sense that Bitcoin, as the ultimate leading indicator in this space, it also goes up another 30, 40, 50%, maybe even doubles here over the next 6-8 months as we get ready for that next big inflationary push? I think absolutely. It makes complete sense. The problem here, though, is that this is a forward discounting mechanism. I mean, you all see the inflation that we're living in now. And it's not an accident. I used to joke with people and say, well, you want your $1 million Bitcoin. Well, that's great, but it's going to cost you $500 for a fucking loaf of bread. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen here again. It's no difference. It's all the same. So I don't, if anything, seeing what's happening in the oil market and seeing the stupidity of these stupid Great Reset, Klaus Schwab, all this crap, keep in mind, this is all organized by the bankster crooks. There's nothing unorganized about this. And of course, the coup de grace of all of this, and I think I'll leave the rant at this, is what is inflation? Can anybody answer me that? In this effed up world, what actually is inflation? Interesting how this menu won't load. Does somebody not want me to show you what inflation actually is? Interesting. Why won't you load? Maybe because I haven't updated this stupid Brave browser in a while. I don't really want to get rid of that. Maybe let's do it over here. Let's try over here. Open? No, you just don't want to work, do you? All right. Can anybody on YouTube, while I'm fighting with this silly chart thing, can anybody help me? What actually is inflation? Look at that. I can't get this stupid thing to load anywhere. What a bitch. How am I going to do this? I guess maybe make a copy. Hey, there we go. I don't really want to do this one though. I guess we'll do this one. What is inflation? Money printing. Very good. One person. Oh, there, Omar got it. Money printing. Very good. The only reason why I loaded this was because it's the only way I can get a new chart to load here. Let's see, will this work? Open layout? Come on, you. What the hell's wrong with you, you piece of crap? Oh, there we go. Thank you. All I had to do was swear at it. All right, so let's go money supply. Oh, that might be a nice way to look at this. Let's see what we got there. Actually, I had one that shows all the major Western societies. Now, you tell me. I mean, let's just keep it simple here. Has anything happened here in the hegemony's money supply equation that tells us that, oh shit, here we go again? Did anything just happen there? So the worst part about this is because we are good technicians, we can do things like chaos theory, and we can actually determine where these bastards are going to take us. And you thought the money supply growth was bad recently? Oh boy. So 23 trillions, next stop, 2.618. We should see a bit of a fight here at 1.618, but ultimately we probably should go all the way up to that 4.669. So, you could easily just say, well, this looks like an A to B. I think I even heard the Chinese even say that, oh, we got a new variant of the sickness. You better get ready. Maybe you do A, B, C, D's. I don't know. Maybe that's not the best thing to do because that's not really a good base there. But oh, crap on a stick. These bastards. So, and the worst part about this, I hate to say it, is, you're a Republican. Oh, I'm all about, hard money and make America great again. Well, I hate to say it, but under Donnie, that's the last time we went through hyperinflation, 2020. Donnie was president here. The irony of it all is Joe Biden, ironically enough, just inherited the problem. And Donnie's president again here. And he's talking about his big, beautiful bill, which is nothing more than we're going to cut taxes and completely just decimate the US federal budget and print money like we're going out of style because we're not going to tax the rich. We're, in fact, going to make all the tax breaks that we gave the rich previously permanent. So how are you going to pay all those bills? We're going to run a $1.5 trillion deficit. Like, what the fuck? Oh, God. So, you can't blame the socialists here. You have to blame Donnie. And is Donnie the biggest socialist communist in the world history? He might just be, who fucking knows? But anyway, that is why that oil price is breaking out, I think. And it has nothing to do with whether Iran has the bomb or not. Although that makes an awfully convenient excuse to drive prices higher. When really it's all about that image right there. Merry frickin' Christmas. Having said that, the irony of it all is most of you watching this video are probably long crypto, long stocks, maybe not so much stocks, but probably long crypto. And the only way for crypto to move higher in price, you'll think, oh, it's because it's so awesome and, adoption and, oh, it's the best thing since sliced bread. But really, it's just a proxy on inflation. And we're going to have to go through another massive wave of price inflation. So, all right, there's your rant for the day. As I told you, I wasn't really excited about today's broadcast. It's a bit of it's the time in the economic cycle when I would prefer to be doing this job the absolute least. And as I think I said earlier, I think to a certain degree, my time interacting with the public and doing all of these things, I think it's coming to an end. So anyway, it is what it is. So anyway, I don't know whether you got any value out of all that. I sure hope you did. Hopefully you can understand why the Bitcoin price should move up into this fall and winter. But once this move is done, all bets are off. And I don't mean to be rude, but once we get on the other side of this 1.382 fib time study, I have no interest whatsoever in being involved in the crypto space. If I'm lucky, this gets bid up enough so that I can sell what Bitcoins I have and go buy Liam his house. And then I can basically leave this existence knowing Liam is going to at least have a home for the rest of his life. But if I can't do that because price just doesn't get up there, then I'll just leave the Bitcoins on cold storage and wait for another 4 years for that to happen. But once we hit this, my bullish enthusiasm for crypto, it will be come to an end for this cycle. And once we get into May, let's say my birthday of 2027, which is like 2 years from now, well, then I'll start getting enthusiastic in the space again. Exactly the same way that it happened last cycle. And oh, mysteriously, the cycle prior 1.618 to 1.786 or 786, and the cycle prior this one was absolutely beautiful bottom. And ironically enough, I actually think that this is what this cycle wants to look like. Actually, I'll take that back. I actually think that this is what the cycle wants to look like. So this, ironically enough, is what we have staring us in the face in the not too distant future. And I tell you, if that oil price runs up the way that I think it will, this actually won't even really be that big of a deal. People will go, yeah, well, look at what oil's doing. What a surprise. So anyway, is there anything I'm supposed to talk about here, Chris, that I completely forgot? I don't know. Yeah, I haven't really been seeing too many questions. All right. So I guess we'll just pop on over to the YouTube page and just see if anybody has any questions over there. So if you do have a question, feel free to ask. How much time do we have left until the recording stops? All right. 10 minutes. All right. Somebody says here, an acronym, a word short and slick from initial letters formed real quick. My old English teacher drilled this into us back in the day. She had a little poem to remember useful bits of info. Oh, that's cool. Thank you, EO Gun. Yeah, you're right, Nore. Actually, and that C pool chart doesn't look too bad. I'm perfectly fine buying that down here. H bar was one hell of a trade last year, right? And it was so funny when we were down in El Salvador. There was this British guy and his girlfriend there, and they were total cokeheads. And they were all like, H bar's going to the moon, and we are all like, I don't know, you better be careful. And then the damn thing came crashing down after Gucci sweater wearers were run out of the market. Money printing, currency debasement equals inflation. Thank you, Omar. Well said. Perfect. Yeah, that's the one thing that's a little bothersome, Omar. He makes a good point. This cycle is weird. No retail in sight so far, plus a lot of bearishness. I would agree with that. And I think there's one specific reason. The only problem is I don't know whether I can load this chart or not, but we'll try. Nope. Stupid platform. I can't remember the last time I actually rebooted this computer, so I'm not quite sure. It's probably my doing here. Now, why would one window load but another one wouldn't? It's so irritating, these silly computers. But what I would want to show you if I could, and oh, by the way, nothing has changed in China. Stay the fuck away from this place. It is a shit show. And all of these stupid idiots that have bid up this real estate market over the past 15, 20 years, it's an absolute disaster. This is exactly like The Big Short when Michael, can't remember what his name is in the movie, was in the car with the real estate agent, and they were touring around. I think it was Arizona or something like that. And the real estate agent is, oh, it's just a little dip. It's just a little dip. No problem. No problem. And every fucking place, there's for sale signs everywhere. That is exactly what's happening in China right now. It's incredible. And these real estate experts, and why are there so many channels on YouTube talking about investing in real estate? That in itself should have been the tell to stay the fuck away from that. I mean, when we see all these stupid idiots, all come piling out and saying, okay, now's the time to buy Bitcoin. Oh, take my $5,000 course on buying Bitcoins, and I wear a Gucci sweater. So that must mean I'm rich and I'm smart and I know what I'm doing, when actually it's the exact opposite. But the same thing is happening here in China right now. Stay the fuck away from this country, people. It's a disaster just waiting to explode. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Brian gets all excited. But there is a very specific reason, Omar, why I don't think that there's any retail participation in the shitcoin market right now. And I think it has everything to do with the cost of money. The only problem is I can't load damn chart to show you what I'm talking about here. Oh, there we go. Got this one to work. All right. And that is Fed funds. Whoops. Where are we? Fed. Nope. What is it? Oh, Fed funds 4-year cycle. This, I think, is the number one reason why there's no junior participation in this market this go round. Is this is your great financial crisis. This is interest rates going to zero. Then this is the sickness. Remember Chakpak and all those people? All, and remember that funny guy, the Barstool guy, who was Mr. Stock Picker and all that involved? Interest rates at zero. But this go around, interest rates are not at zero. And so this is why I think the venture market is just not performing this cycle. Remember, I showed you that OMG chart. It's just making lower highs and lower lows. Where's the fucking bull? And I think it has everything to do with the fact that there's just no money out there, and people just can't afford to borrow money at like 4.5% from the Fed. So that's why I think that there's no junior bull market this go round. So I don't know whether that helps answer or speak to that point, but you're absolutely right, Omar. Basically, money printing and currency debasement is inflation. And there is no other reason for inflation. And ironically enough, it doesn't even have to do with governments, because the way the government is designed now is the governments are basically the bitches of the banks. And that happened through the Great Depression. Basically, governments in Western society relinquished all control of their society to the bankster, crook, Rothschild, elite cocksuckers. And I think we all know that here at TRI. That's not news to anybody. Anyway, moving on. Okay. Iran has the bomb in 1 week now since 30 years. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's laughable, eh, Nuri? Thank you, Brian. Have a great day with Liam. Thank you very much, Diverted Light. As I've told everybody, my number one job with whatever time I have left on this planet is actually to try and make Liam's life as best as possible. I'm not really that good at it. I have a very, very hard time. I don't even know what the expression is. After about 4 or 5 hours with Liam, your brain starts to melt. So, and that's half the reason why JoJo did what she did, because we went, the whole fucking house went crazy. We have a whole team of people trying to support Liam now. And, over the past 10, 15 years, that has served him very well. And I think JoJo over there on Spirit, asking Spirit's help and stuff. But my job is to be the best advocate I can be for Liam, to take him out, from the sort of, institutional sort of setting, give him, at least a little bit of an escape. And, of course, tell him, of course, that he's loved and super important and all that kind of fun stuff. And, just try and be the best dad I can possibly be for the poor little soul. That's my number one job. My number two job, of course, is to try and help all of you. And that's basically how I've lived my life over the past 14 years. And if anything, I almost feel like I'm getting pushed away from that, and I want to get back to that. So that's part of the reason why I'm thinking about retiring here. So anyway, so thank you very much for the best wishes. And everybody, if you could just do a simple, please, Spirit, help Liam this afternoon to have a good day with his dad. That's the most I could ask of all of you. And I sure hope you can do that for me. You'll be missed. Thanks so much, Brian, for today's offering. All the best with Liam. Thank you, Fruity. Before you leave, SU, Should make some shorts with the originals, things like cool your jets, only time will tell. How to tell if a politician is lying. Yeah. I tried to do all those shorts things before, but it didn't amount to a hill of beans. So anyway, Brian, you think if you buy a house, they will not tax it out with property tax anyways? Yeah, they might. The point that I would make is I buy the house and I put the house into a trust, and the house that I specifically want to buy will be cash flow positive. And Liam will basically be named in the trust. So when I pass, he literally the asset goes in trust to him. The property itself is cash flow positive, but Liam himself also has a government subsidy. And if there's any property taxes or any insurance costs, then that literally comes out of his subsidy. He gets a guaranteed monthly income from the government that is not taxed. And if he lives in a trust structure, then the house itself in the trust cannot be taken away from him. And his benefits, if you want to call it that, cannot be clawed back if the house is in a trust. So that's the whole purpose of that structure. Trust me, I've given this a lot of consideration, and I know distinctly what the plan is. So anyway, to speak to that point. Still don't know who the Gucci sweater guy is. Well, if anything, Richard, it's good that that guy disappeared very quickly. It's a silly little anecdote. In fact, I have probably kept him alive in this universe of social media far longer than anybody who ever took any of his courses. I bet you they have completely forgotten about the guy. But it was a great analogy. If I ever was going to write a book, that gentleman definitely gets a mention in the book. Omar says, silver. All right, silver. The best of wishes for you and the boy, sir. Thank you, Nori. Appreciate that. Okay, well, not really seeing any questions. It's more kind of a rhetoric kind of day than anything else. Market's not really moving too dramatically. So consider this more of just sort of well, Brian just wanted to take some time and just talk to all of you about sort of what I'm seeing about going forward here. In a nutshell, actually, you could make the very easy argument that even right here in the short term, this looks like an A to B, and then clone that, C to D. I would not be surprised if we trade down into these levels here over the coming while. Do we first go up and then go down, or do we first go down and then go up? I don't know. But my hunch here is on balance. If you're a Bitcoin fanboy and you're wondering what's going to happen here over the near term, my hunch is we're probably stuck in this range for a while. And then we'll have one more push to the upside to finish this cycle. And as I've said repeatedly here, if you can, try and sneak in and take advantage of these discounted prices. It's interesting how the total market cap hasn't broken yet. Could this also do the same thing as Bitcoin, that sort of very wide trading range? I think, something like a total here. One thing I noticed, and I don't really want to start on a whole new vein of conversation. We're pretty much just winding this up. But I noticed, things like this H bar could still come down a bit. And things like Cripple, I could see this come off a bit. That could still correct a bit. Even now, sadly, ETH has now been bid up. So I could very easily see Ethereum have to come back down here a bit. So these are the names, of course, that I would be saying, don't chase. What are you, nuts? You can't buy that there. In fact, actually, it looks like 877s, all that kind of talk. Mind you, that's off a different setup. I haven't looked at this chart in a while. But I mean, you get the idea. There's no way in hell I'm going to endorse coming in on the buy side there. And same thing with Cripple, right? I can't endorse coming in on the buy side there. That could easily get bitch slapped hard here. But, names like I showed you this OMG, I don't mind coming in and nibbling away, or that C pool, or what was the other one that I bought? That IUN or whatever the hell it was. I don't mind the idea of nibbling down at the bottom end of ranges here. Don't mind that at all. And so that's basically what I'm doing. Yeah. So all of these guys, anything with blue here, I've acquired and then sold halves on doubles and all that kind of fun stuff. And just FYI, into the end of this cycle, into this fall, I'm just going to be blowing all of this stuff out, claiming the capital gains, paying the taxes, and then just moving on. And as I said, over the next couple of years, I'm not really that excited about doing a hell of a lot in crypto. And if anything, we all have to prepare for the insane hyperinflation wave coming ahead of us here. Could you look at CAN? It's a stock. All right. We'll finish off with CAN. And then, actually, that's about right time. How much time do we have left until the recording ends here? Uh-oh. Looks like it might be recording any second now. All right. CAN, is this what you want? CAN? Hopefully that's it. Oh, not bad. Maybe you want to place a buy on stop on a move through 92, 93, 94, somewhere. That would be a nice W. Hell, you could even just buy this, right?
Recording
down,
stopped.
Up. Oh, and the recording just stopped. So I won't comment about fundamentals here, but I will say, just technically speaking, I wouldn't have a problem if you wanted to come in here and just do a little bit of nibbling. Remember Brian's 2 rules of investing. So do you have an algorithm here? First this, then that, then the other thing. And if all that lines up, great, go for it. And are you obeying risk management rules? You can little old lady this, maybe buy like 1% of your stake, 2% of your stake, whatever, and just nibble away here over maybe the next 6 months. Yeah, you probably do okay. Or if you want to try and time your purchases, you could always do a Joe 6-pack approach, put 10% of your stake into here. But if it falls by 50%, you better get the fuck out, right? And obey that 5% rule. Or if you want to leverage trade this, a little bit higher octane, put a little bit more money in, well, then you're hunting setups and you better be damn careful about risk management. And I think on balance, this is not a bad idea. Can you force yourself to come in reload zones if you want to do that leverage sort of approach? Just make darn sure. It looks like 62 cents would be my magic number. And of course, great anecdote. Who's driving the bus here? There are a lot of people, in fact, actually, the Muslim religion believes that this is hell. And frankly speaking, seeing the way some people are acting in this world, actually, I kind of agree. I do think that this is hell. And we have to somehow earn our way out of this. But anyway, that's another conversation for another day. Just be forewarned, right? If you are going to trade this, just understand that looks like a megaphone. And if it is, then that means if we lose these lows here, we could very easily have to walk our way down this trend line. And I don't know how bad could get. So if you're going to take the shot, my hunch is that's your line in the sand risk. And frankly speaking, that's not so bad. That's basically 13 cents a risk, or about 20%. That's not terrible. Maybe throw in a stink bid right in your gap here. And like I said, risk to these lows. If we break these lows, then you better get the hell out of there. All right, let's leave it at that. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day. Wish Liam and I luck on the road, please, if you could. The only thing left to say to you good people is a hearty bye for now. And I hope I made a positive difference in your lives.